Sagoji, lazata, jot, shtioz jodrus na jot tanonaji, tinwandi shachzastijan.
We are excited to share with you today about the Ticha Project, a digital scholarship endeavor focused on making colonial Zapotec documents accessible to a broader public, with a particular focus on increasing access for Zapotec community members. There were three branches of this project. There's the Ticha website, which is a digital repository of colonial-era documents written in and about Zapotec languages. We then use these documents as sources to create pedagogical materials about Zapotec history and linguistics. A recent example of this is Xóchitl and Satan Learning Together, which is an ebook we produced. Finally, we support spaces for Zapotec community members to meet with each other and engage with these resources. We use Twitter as one way to build this kind of community, and then in 2020 and 2021, we organized the Conversatorios, workshops led by and for Zapotec people using the lesson plans in our Xóchitl and Satan ebook. A key benefit of using digital humanities in this project is it has enabled us to think very broadly in terms of accessibility, incorporating many layers of information to engage with multiple audiences, and also decreasing this dichotomy between audience and creator by incorporating community feedback at every step of the process. So today we'll be giving you a short introduction to this corpus of colonial Zapotec documents and some outcomes of our project, and we look forward to discussing with you the many opportunities this type of work offers to public history.
So the Zapotec languages are spoken in southern Mexico in the state of Oaxaca, which you see outlined on the map here. Zapotec is one of the largest languages of Oaxaca. As you can see on the map, it's spoken in central and eastern Oaxaca. One important thing to know is that Zapotec is actually a family of languages with perhaps 50 different varieties. Altogether, there are 400,000 to 450,000 speakers of all these different Zapotec varieties. Despite the fact that there are so many speakers in Oaxaca, Zapotec has no official de facto status in the state. Discrimination against speakers of Zapotec and other indigenous languages has a long history and continues today. All across the state, communities are shifting to Spanish in more and more context, and so all Zapotec varieties are endangered. And although historically speakers of Zapotec wrote their language, that chain of literacy was broken. So in the current day, most speakers don't write their language, although that's changing. Here we see some text of the long tradition of Zapotec literacy. This is hieroglyphic writing. Alphabetic writing began with the arrival of the Spanish Empire in Mexico. And the earliest document we have written in Zapotec in alphabetic form is from 1565. The texts that were written during the colonial period include metalinguistic documents like dictionaries and grammars, many religious texts, as well as various legal texts. And these documents are often stored in archives where the conditions can be extremely variable. Sometimes valuable colonial documents are just in piles tied together. Even when they're well preserved, they're often in locations that are difficult for speakers to access, and also the conditions of the archives often discourage indigenous people from visiting these archives.
Our team is very concerned with considering how we can make this corpus of texts more accessible to people who would like to use it, especially the Zapotec community members. The anchor of this project is the Ticha webpage. Ticha is a digital text explorer for colonial Zapotec. On the website, you can interact with multiple levels of many of these texts, including high-resolution images, metadata, and when available, transcriptions, and even morphological analysis. We make the text publicly available on Ticha as soon as we have permission to do so, even if all we have permission to do at that stage is to publish the images. Because the acknowledgement of the existence of these texts is important to the community and makes visible a written history that is often denied. We collaborate with Zapotec individuals on their preferences and needs, which influences design decisions and our priorities. This corpus is utilized by Zapotec individuals for a variety of purposes, including confirming and recovering words.
One area of enormous impact for me was using the colonial Zapotec language materials to recover, find, and confirm some words like 60 or 80. As a child, I used to listen these words from my grandmother, but as an adult, I wasn't really sure if they were real. But looking at the colonial documents, I was able to confirm them. As you guys can see here now, we have the Zapotec word for 60, which is cayon, and ta for 80.
Digital humanities can blur the line between creator and audience and have the resources also be spaces for co-creation. For example, Ticha can be a resource, but also a space for Zapotec people to continue creating after they've accessed the resources. Digital humanities allows for progressive or work in progress updates, as well as revisions and feedback loops. This is super important for addressing bias and building a robust repository which reflects multiple perspectives. Digital humanities allows layering of interconnected information, which is powerful for engaging multiple audiences, such as students, Zapotec speakers, or the general public. Engaging these communities and building access to knowledge requires curation, such as the Ticha website, structure and context, such as Kasei and Sain, and engagement work outside of the digital space, like the conversatorios or our classrooms.
And the conversation continues on Twitter, so you might want to join us. You can use Usa tu voz and Zapoteco Colonial hashtag.
Estioso.